And that's the end of the intro. Good morning, everybody. Welcome. How you all doing today? It's Sunday morning.
Good morning.
And we've got Raini for about a minute today. She's got a massage she's got to go do. So she's got to boogie out of here.
A massage and then a wedding expo. Yay.
Yay, wedding expo. Ooh, how fun is that?
Should be a blast.
So promoting her massagey stuff at the wedding expo. So
yeah, even got my shirt on. Look it.
Let's see. Oh, there it is.
Can you see my
it says
shirt?
It's here. Here, I'll lower the camera a little bit. Massage. There it is. She's got her massage shirt on. Oh, she's got massage on the front too, the crest without the word.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Come on.
I need a massage.
Me too. My calves and my butt hurts.
Your butt hurts? I got the butt. There it is.
Well, I hate to say it.
See what I do?
It's 9:02 and I needed to be on the road at 9:00. So
yeah.
Have
you
a
get out
good
of
day,
here.
everybody.
Don't kiss me. I'm still sick.
Yeah, I'm sick too. So why don't you kiss me?
There you go. Have a fun day.
Bye,
I'll see you in a
everybody.
few hours.
Yeah, I have no idea when I'll be home.
All right.
My other boyfriend too.
Oh yeah. He runs the expo. Yeah.
Do you want this light off?
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
I love you.
Love you too.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. She's off and running. And I'm still a little sick here, folks, so bear with me today. Might not be a long show. Let me mute my mic. Chest congestion, stuff like that. And I actually went into the hospital the other day just to check and make sure it wasn't anything else because I'm so short of breath. It's got me, my lungs are so filled up, I'm short of breath. And so I went in to check things out. They stuck me all over the place, you know. Oh, yeah, everywhere. And they wanted to keep me yesterday or the day before. You know, when you're having a heart attack, your heart puts out an enzyme, I think it is. It's called troponin. And I've always been, since my major surgery a few years ago, always been kind of leaking a little bit of that enzyme. It's like 0.03 or 0.05. When I had the heart attack, it shoots all the way up to 18 or 19 or 20 when it's leaking. So just to let you know. So they did the blood test and they said, you got that 0.03, which is almost nothing, but it shouldn't be leaking. I said, it's been leaking for 4 years like that. So they wanted to keep me. And I said, no, I'm just going to go home. I'll come back for another blood test later today, which I did. And so they called me my doc called me at 10 o'clock at night on Friday night just to check in. Got your second blood test stuff in. Just wanted to check in on you. Want to make sure you're feeling okay. So that's pretty cool. Sometimes you want to go to a hospital where everybody knows your name. Small town hospital. It's kind of nice. So hope you're all doing well today. And thank you, Steph. I appreciate that. I don't bring that up for sympathy or anything like that. Just kind of let you know, I'm just like everybody else, where we've all got our stuff and our junk and our physical junk we deal with. So today I can't talk loud. Not that loud is the thing. I feel like I'm talking really quietly because I don't have any oomph behind my breathing right now. Now the funny thing is my son has it too, but not like that. Now the little one, the 6-year-old, has the cough we found this morning. Raini doesn't have it so far, thank goodness. I don't know if it just affects me differently because I have shortness of breath that comes along with it. And for me, it's really tough. I can't lay down to sleep at night. I lay down. I think it's more mental. It's more psychological. It starts to get me. It's like a claustrophobia thing where it's hard to breathe. And so I sit up, and so I go down and I go down to the sofa the last few nights, and I sit on the sofa. I cover up with a blanket, get a little neck pillow, stuff like that, and they're try to sit. No, it's not COVID, Steph. They, of course, checked me for that at the hospital. So it's not that. And it's just a chest infection of some kind. He said it's a virus, but my son's got it. My son's doing okay. He just has a cough. And now my little girl has it, and it's a cough. So, yeah, I can't speak for my diaphragm. That's exactly it, Elderberry. I use my diaphragm, and I feel like I can't get enough breath. So I have to take it simple and easy and slow. So there's my physical ailments for today. How's your Sunday morning? I hope you had a good week, folks. And hope you got some coffee. I've got some coffee. Don't know how long we'll go today. We'll just go till we feel like we can't go anymore or have to do other things. So, it was nice to get Raini in here this morning. She's had every Sunday morning for the last several weeks. She's had massages to do. And that's when she gets most of her work is Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Because that's when people go to the hotels and they book massages. And so that's when she does her thing. And they always want them like Sunday mornings before they check out at, 11 a.m. checkout. And so, so that's why she's been gone on Sunday mornings. And it's a good thing for her. But let's see, my wife and 5-year-old are out picking strawberries, and I have the little man here at home, says Matt Finn. Picking strawberries is a nice thing to do on Sunday mornings. You don't have coffee, Steph. You better get your coffee. I haven't had coffee in 3 days, and I just this morning made some. So I said, maybe I'm missing coffee, and that's why. So I was going to talk about some relationship types of stuff because there's some things that you think about. There's nothing in particular going on with my wife and I beyond the norm. Life is normal. Life is good. We have our ups and downs, and you sometimes ask yourself the questions on if something's not going right, who's the weak link? What's going on wrong? And of course, everybody always thinks that the other person is the weak link. Have you noticed in relationships too that everybody always thinks that they are the ones who do the most? I give the most, I do the most, I break my back the most, I clean the most, I take care of this the most and that. And so in relationships, we find out if we actually sit back and look at it, we find that that's not necessarily the case. We're all our own self-martyrs when it comes to relationship. So, hey, Audrey, good to see you. You going to the beach this morning already? Is it nice out there? It's we're actually getting a little reprieve up here from our heat wave. It's supposed to be a high of like 88 degrees today or close to 90 maybe. And sunny, and the humidity's down. So that makes it kind of nice. And we're going to be in the 80s all week. So instead of the upper 90s to the hundreds. So that makes it nice. And so how is everybody this morning? I haven't said good morning to anybody. Susie Q, good to see you. And Elderberry, you were one of the first ones in this morning. Brianna Dunlop was here very early. Good to see you, Brianna. I don't know if you're still sitting out there or not. You were in about half hour to an hour early today. And Steph, of course, you're here. Good morning. And Matthew Sainsbury is here. Good to see you, brother. And, of course, Master Finn is here. This isn't where I parked my car, he says. Me either. And let's see. What else we got? Blah, 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 blah. I think that's everybody. Says Scott Allen's in here. And Doug Stack, I see you. Hey, y'all, I'm listening, he says. Good to see you, brother. And it just keeps increasing. So that's a good thing. Sean Bowden is here. Good to see you, brother Sean. Glad you're here. And we're off to not a kicking start this morning, but a slow start this morning. Mandy Moo, good to see you from Australia. Nice to have you in here. And yeah, we should move down there. Then I say to Gaza yesterday, I said, if only we lived closer. And Mandy came in and said, well, there's your problem right there. You don't live in Australia. You should come down. So maybe we should. So Matt Finn, the Suburban is running but not running, you know, that kind of thing. It's sitting out there. We haven't taken it anywhere for a few days. And I'm sure it would run just fine. I just don't know for how long. And so we don't know, for all of those of you who are into cars and the mechanical aspects of cars, the three guys who came over with my neighbor who work on their machinery at their company thought it was just a fuel filter. Couldn't get it off because it's rusted on. And of course, we take it to the local shop and they want to take out the whole fuel system and the fuel line. And they said, oh, it's going to cost you $1,000 rather than the $18 for the fuel filter and the time it takes to loosen a nut. But it's rusted on. And so that tells you something, too. If a nut is rusted on, how often was that fuel filter changed over the years? So I don't know. And I don't know how to diagnose things very well. Hey, Roger Rabbit, good to see you. There it is, Matt. Keep in mind, fuel pumps and ignition components usually fail when hot or under the most load. That's true. And when it was failing, it was 100 degrees up here. And the humidity was up. So I'm thinking maybe if it's cooling down, it'll be fine. My friend Andy, who bought that for me in exchange for doing work for him, and he's the used car inspection guy. He kind of knew what he was talking about. But things always rise up. He said, just drive back up here. He says, we'll get it fixed. And so he said, come up for another 3 days this next week. And he says, I've got stuff we got to do. Let's get it done. And we'll just take it in. I'm a little nervous about driving it up there, that it's going to kill on me all the way. So, and we had it out the other day when it was very hot. We picked up the kids from school and it quit twice on us. And that was no fun. And of course, it restarted in a couple of minutes. So here you go. Yeah, here's Sunday morning with Scotty. Car talk, auto talk. So yeah, we've got to get it checked out. I'm not going to pay somebody $1,000 to fix this. And so we'll take it up. And my buddy said he's got a guy who could replace the whole fuel line and do all that for a couple $100 at most, and that he'd cover it. So there you go. There it is. So anyway, what's going on in your guys' morning? That's my car problems. That's my cold, my chest and throat problems today. There, I've gotten all my problems out. What's going on with you guys? And how many of you are in? I know a few of you. I know Matt Finn and others here, and Roger, and some of you who are in relationships. And so I wanted to ask you guys, you know, what you thought about this. Are you the weak link in your relationship? And there's all this new research that's out there, psychologically speaking, on couples. It shows which partner can lower a relationship's quality. What do you think? How many of you out there are in a relationship and it's not everything it could be? Now, you know, we all have those, but I'm asking you now. You can go ahead and tell me in the chat room. Share it with us if you want to. What kind of relationship are you in? What do you feel about your relationship? Matthew Sainsbury, are you in a relationship down there? Do you have a wife? Do you have a steady girlfriend? Same with Mandy and Audrey and Elderberry and Steph, we all kind of know each other's business a little bit, but why don't you let us all know, what's your relationship like? Steph is asking, what do they consider the qualities that lower it? And I can tell you, I'm glad you asked me that question, Steph. So the first thing that we have to take into account is that emotional expression is a key component of successful close relationships. So is one or both of you at ill ease expressing emotions? Are you both good at it? Is one or the other not? So expression of emotions. There's new research that says that these weak links affect on satisfaction and communication when one's partner is emotional suppression is high. So do you have a partner, or maybe do you suppress your emotional output in a relationship? And then if you do, you have to ask yourself, why do I do that? Why am I suppressing my emotional output? What's holding me back? Why am I holding myself back? And so by understanding the dynamics of couple communication, a person can establish more fulfilling relationships, even when they're the weak link themselves. There's ways to get around this. And so when you think about the quality of your closest relationship, how do you guys, I know how I do it, but I have to think about it all the time too. How do you separate your own contribution to the overall health of your relationship from that of your partner's contribution? How do you separate it out? Do you believe that you give more than you take? Or is it your partner who seems to make all the sacrifices? So in terms of emotional balance of trade, are your contributions pretty equal, would you say? Or is one partner more likely to be the one in debt to the relationship? The one not giving quite as much and taking more? Or is that maybe you? And I have to think of those in terms with me too. That comes out. When that stuff comes out the most? When you argue. Anybody out there argue with their spouse or their partner? Matt Finn, do you ever argue with your wife? Audrey, do you ever argue with your significant other? Anybody out there? Ryan Gale says, Scotty man, looks like you're feeling better. I'm a little better, Ryan. Not tip top yet, but still very short of breath. So you have to bear with me. See how far I can go. So what did Roger say? I suppress a lot of mine for the simple reason that our life is difficult enough without adding my emotions into the mix. I get that, Roger, with some of the difficulties you have to cope with every day. So I get that in your situation. I've always been an alchemist, says Roger, and my emotions and the emotions of those around me. So I spend a lot of energy balancing out the emotions. Yeah, I hear that, brother. Matt says, we keep the arguments to a minimum. Try more an open discussion format. Well, yeah, there it is. Open format discussion, or open discussion format. We try to do the same too. I know that my wife will sometimes be the I give so much more and I do so much more. I have so much more on my plate than you do. And my wife, it's very true. She keeps herself very busy. I have learned that the busier I get, the less time I have for everybody around me. So I try to stay as less busy as possible. And sometimes there's misinterpretation of that. But if we balance things out, you know what we don't do? We don't walk around and go, hey, let me get out my list. I'm going to write this thing down. I did this today and this and this and this. And here's your list. I don't see your little check boxes filled out. No, we don't do that. You can't do that because it's not the way it works. But there are days where one or the other of us might feel really overworked or overtaxed. And you want to, because you got no way to relieve that all the time, you want to kind of strike out at the other person. How come you're not picking up the slack over here? Why'd I have to do so much today? And we try not to be that way. I think we get overtaken by that stuff when we're not paying attention to how we're acting and to how we're contributing. Although many of us, we don't like the idea of defining our relationships in monetary terms, theories of couple satisfaction often borrow metaphors from economics. One model focuses on equity as the basis for a couple's happiness, based on the proposal that the give and take between partners should be approximately on an even keel for both to regard the relationship as a good one. And we give and take about the same, so there's equity. And one partner gives by tending to the small household tasks. The other's responsible for keeping track of finances or vice versa. And no one feels particularly taken advantage of in the ideal relationship, according to that model. The exchange theory, another financial term of relationship satisfaction, is based in contrast on the proposal that each partner regards the reward of being in the relationship as equal to the costs. So when you conduct a risk-benefit analysis of your relationship, you decide you'd rather stay with your partner than leave if you're behaving in accordance with this approach. I think that's I don't like that approach, but there it is. So couples can also give and take in the emotional department. There was a University of Auckland, New Zealand, Ari Sasaki and his colleagues in 2021. Each person in a long-term relationship contributes to its health by virtue of the extent to which they share or don't share their feelings with the other person. And so this quality is known as expressive suppression, or ES. Expressive suppression. Look at yourself now when I'm talking about this. You can look at the other person, but it doesn't do any good to look at the other person. And maybe to take note of how they are and so on, but when you're working on good relationship, it always works best to look at self first. So look at your ES factor, your expressive suppression factor. It involves attempts to conceal your emotional expressions from other people, from the other person. So keeping your emotions hidden from your partner, as the authors note of this study, takes mental effort and can, because it's so demanding, make it harder for you to solve problems effectively. So if you're busy holding on to your anger about your partner's failure to, vacuum the rug, or throw out the tampon paper wrapper, whatever it might be, that you make a mistake in paying a credit card bill, whatever it is, this is invariably going to lead to an argument when next month you have to make an overdue interest payment. Think of that in terms of relationship. And so the other problem that you create, that we all create, by holding in our emotions, is that we don't actually engage in honest communication. When you withhold your emotion from the other person, do you think when you have conversation that it's honest? It might have a snippet of honesty, but is it honest if you're withholding the emotions? And then I got to ask you, because we've all done it to a certain extent, what makes us want to withhold the emotions from the person that we fell in love with and wanted to spend our life with? Is it because we found out over the course of the years that, oh my goodness, that's not a perfect person I attach myself to? So I think I'm going to withhold my emotions. And because we're all adults, I say it this way. We all spend time together. You get naked together. You have sex together. You bump grumpies, as we used to say when we were trying to be polite. And yet we can't express our emotions to the other person. We're withholding something for one reason or the other. So, what did I miss? Matt Finn says, well, this Sunday show just got real. Sorry, couldn't withhold it. Let's see what was said here. I think at times, in all relationships, the balance of contributions changes throughout the union as life's challenges change. It's very true, Matt. Matt goes on and says, sorry to hear you had to go through that experience, Sassy. Okay, I missed something there. I think Steph was relating in the chat room. When I stood up, got fed up, walked away, and said that I'm done doing for everyone, it's expected from me, with not even a thank you. Then it was time to talk. Well, there it is. I think we raise our expectation levels up very high of our partners. And you know what happens in a relationship? We get used to what the other partner does. We get used to the contribution. And so this is why I tell my kids, every time mom cooks a meal, I tell everybody, I start by saying, wow, thanks, Mom. That was really good. Thanks for cooking that for us. And I tell the kids, thank your mom. Don't take it for granted that she does that. Kids, and they don't have a good perspective on this all the time, but sometimes you have to remind them. And now I'm talking about couples and the way couples relate, but in a relationship, you sometimes have to remind your kids that you do stuff. They've got to know, hey, when I go to work, when I do my work stuff, when mom's out doing massages, you know what that's for? That's because she's contributing to this family. And you guys need to contribute too. Even if you don't think that was your dish that I asked you to pick up in the living room, go ahead and pick it up because you're contributing. Because you know what? Mom and dad don't eat all the food we cook for you guys. It's for you guys. And that's the way kids have to look at it. So when we're working on that stuff in our relationships is recognizing that the other person is contributing too. And sometimes you do have those imbalanced relationships where one party or the other checks out because they take the other person for granted and their contribution for granted. So let's see what else we got here. I want to carry on from what I was reading out here in the chat room, where Matt Finn said, let's see. Susie Q said, I think it's important to keep personal issues personal. I don't like airing dirty laundry to the public. Sorry. Usually it comes out in the wash. I love them through it transmuted. There you go, Susie. Yeah, you don't have to say anything you're uncomfortable saying for certain. Nobody does here. And I don't expect that. But you can all talk about it if you want to. And the captain is Papa. I don't know where that came from. Oh, I know plenty of men who are just going through the motions in their lives because they have too much to lose. They worked too hard to give it away. But what about when you try to talk to your partner, but they just don't feel the depth that you feel? Emotionally, I mean. Well, that's where you've got to ask yourself, what changed? What changed the depth? Why is the depth no longer there? Are we as humans meant to have temporary relationships where I feel that you're my everything up until I don't anymore? So what do we do from either side of that equation to make it better? Pardon me a second. I got a cough coming on, and I do have a cough button, right? Hooey, boy. Whew, I catch my breath after that one. So Kind of forgot where I was there. What Steph was saying. Their reactions to what you say emotionally sometimes. Maybe because they've had bad reactions. Sometimes it could be, well, Matt Finn says it here. It's called emotional intelligence. My wife and I are on different levels as well. Aren't we all on different levels? My wife and I are on different levels. We work very hard to try to be on the same level. But even after knowing each other for 16 years, we still don't seem to know fully how the other one does certain things. And that can be something that leads to misunderstanding the other person emotionally. So the problems that you create by holding your emotions in is that you don't actually engage in the honest communication with each other. Maybe that's where the lack of understanding comes in. It's the lack of honest communication because emotions are getting held in. And your partner in turn won't know how you're feeling and could potentially fail to attend to your underlying needs. So if you're hurting because a relative treated you poorly, but you don't share these bruised feelings with your partner, it would be all too easy for your partner to believe that your bad mood stems from sometimes going on with your relationship. What stems from something going on in your relationship. In the words of the authors of this study, they said greater emotional suppression, or ES, during couples' conflict interactions predicts lower conflict resolution. Hey guys, I'm on the radio in here. Did you know that, Tiny? What's? I'm sorry, what? He changed the channel.
No, I didn't. I took the phone and she's screaming.
Did he turn the channel or did he just take the phone? Hey guys, be nice to each other, huh?
Give it to me.
Okay, you know what we don't need to do is scream and holler about watching TV. Let's get it in perspective, guys. Remember, there's 5 TVs in this house. There you go, folks. What can I say? Ellie, you want to come here and say hi to everybody? Well, Flynn just came in and shut my door. So, there you go. All right, there it is, folks. Familial strife. As the small child, you heard it all. They're still out there yelling. Yeah, Roger, exactly. He changed my show. She needs to experience a real problem. Isn't that the truth? Well, like 6 years old, I suppose. That's about as real as your problems get in a normal setting. How about that? So, let's see. What's that? Audrey says, yesterday was the 54th anniversary of Loving versus Virginia, the day the law struck down the illegitimacy or the illegality of mixed-race marriages. There you go. Well, that's good. That's a good anniversary to take a look at. So, mixed race, you think about that? Who the hell had laws about mixed race? Just shows you the paradigms we've passed through in this country and how we've overcome old ways of thinking. So, yeah, there it is, Steph. You don't miss that with the kids. You know, I would like my son, who is going to be 12 in a couple of weeks, to step up and be a little more, with your sisters. Find ways to not fight with them. That would be a good thing, son. Find ways to be the good big brother. Loves his sister, but everybody here is selfish. Everybody wants what they want. I want that. I want that. I want that. That's one thing I've noticed about my kids. My kids are selfish little tyrants. They just want what they want. And whatever anybody else wants, be damned. So trying to work through that. I don't know how they got that way. Because we certainly didn't teach them that way. But there they are. Sam's doing all right, Roger Rabbit. He's working. Yeah, he's living with a buddy of his and working for his buddy's grandfather. Construction. So they're doing all right. Hang on. All right. So, yeah, Sam's doing good. Carly Sagan, good to see you. Nice to have you in here. James, he's still a kid at 12. He's not an angry teenager yet. Au contraire. He's an angry tweener. And you'd think he has so much to be angry about because he's angry about everything all the time. Wish I understood. I don't remember being that way when I was 12. Rainy reminds me, well, he's a different person. Oh, well, yeah, I know that. But sometimes you go on your experiences. Sean Bowden says, I'm single because I'm an asshole. I'm difficult to get along with. There it is, Sean. You know what? That's okay. At least you've got yourself pegged and you know who you are. I think I'm pretty easy to get along with. My expectations are pretty low of people, meaning they're not so high that you can't attain them. Being part of a family and part of a relationship, yeah, I have expectations. I expect certain things. There's certain things about the household that I expect. If you make a mess, my expectation is you have to learn to clean up your mess. And I have a kind of a saying with my kids, if you don't make a mess, you don't have to clean one up. How about that? So when I cook or when I do things in the kitchen, which is where you make most of your messes, with a family, doing family things, I cook and I show my kids as I go. If there's wrappers, I throw them away. If I dirty a bowl and I pour something into a mix and I start cooking it over there, I rinse that bowl out or I wash it and I put it away. And I do this along the way to show them that, look, you don't have to leave 18 dirty, messy dishes in the sink all piled up because you baked a cake. You know, and I baked a cake the other day, a gluten-free cake, so Rennie could eat it. And I had to mix up eggs over here, and I had to mix up the glaze over here and do this thing and that thing. And when I was done, by the time I put that thing in the oven, there was no trace that I had made anything else, that I had whipped eggs, that I had done anything different at all. So blah, 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 blah. So there's things we do. So, do you know that couples rarely engage in equal amounts of emotional suppression? But if the balance is completely off, the weak link partner, the one that's higher in their emotional suppression, their ES, they could disrupt the potential happiness that both the partners experience. And so the high ES partner will be less easy to read, leading potentially to the other's lack of responsiveness, understanding, and sense of connection. So are you hard to read in your relationship? Sean Bowden says he's an ass. And so he knows where he stands. Is that what you found is a tough thing for you in relationship, Sean? Is it the giving of self? Is it the opening up? Not that I'm trying to psychoanalyze you by any means, but by all of us talking about this stuff together while we're in here, that helps us understand what we're supposed to do, how we can act, how we should act. Morgan, good to see you, Morgan Snow. Let's see what else we got. Let's see. I'm just looking at people's comments here. Audrey said Christianity had a lot to do with demonizing homosexuality. That's true. There's some truth to that. James said my wife's firstborn is still on probation. Doesn't realize that if he keeps his actions up, he'll be in real prison soon. You know, my own son Sam had to face that at one point. If I don't straighten up my act, I'm going to go to real jail. So, Steph says, I just don't like mean people. In fact, mean people taught me how to be mean. So I don't like it, even if it comes in handy when needed. Well, there is that. You know, I work very hard to not be a mean or a cruel person. Does that mean that I never am? I probably am sometimes, by default or by accident, you could say, because I don't work to be that. I don't feel I'm that kind of person. But there are times, you know, I can tell you there's times I'd like to strike back and say, I could be just as mean and awful as you're being right now. You want to see it? You think I'm a mean person? You think I'm cruel? You think I don't contribute? Let me show you what it's like when I don't contribute. And you tell me you're enjoying it. You know, those are the kinds of things. And so, to me, some of that isn't being overtly mean. It's being standing your ground. Sometimes you got to stand your ground against somebody who's being emotionally suppressive. So, let's see. What else we got here? Just looking at people's what other people have to say about this. I'm a very stubborn person and not that open, says Sean. That's all right. That's the way you are. And if you'll find, Sean, that if you want to get into a relationship, some stubbornness has to be put by the wayside. Did you say you were a Taurus? My wife's a Taurus. She's incredibly stubborn. Sometimes stubbornness, I will find that sometimes my wife will argue a point from out of her stubbornness as opposed to a point of being actually a point of fact or right or wrong. It's out of stubbornness. Let's say here, I'll use a quick example, and you tell me if this looks familiar. My wife will say, I'm going to make some of this up just for oversimplification. I'm so tired of being the one that always has to run the kids to scouts. I'm done. I'm done in this relationship. I could be better off on my own. And my response might be, sorry you feel that way, but if you feel you're the only one contributing, you could go live on your own and give it a shot. And rather than her coming back with a, you know, you're right, maybe we should talk about this a little more, her response might be, out of stubbornness, might be, fine, I'll just do that. And turns around and goes and starts packing a bag. So, hi. How you doing over there?
I'm hungry.
You're hungry? Well, there's all kinds of food out there. There's stuff you can make toast. You can do stuff. I'm not going to cook anything until I'm done here, though. Little Miss Coffee Face. Come over here. How you feeling?
Fine.
Tired. Why don't you go sit on the sofa and watch your show? Okay? Whoa. There we go. Say hi to everybody. No? Okay, you go watch your show. I'll make something to eat when I come out. See ya. Let's see. I'm a Cancer. My birthday is July 12th. I'm not quite sure how Cancers work, Sean. I do know how Tauruses work, though. So, there you go. Mike Yehudi. Good to see you, brother. I can't shout today. My voice is giving me problems, so Yehudi. There you go. Good to see you, brother. Glad you're here. And let's see what else we got. Yes, she is. Thank you, Catherine. Nice to see you here, Catherine. Nice to have you here. So, it only takes one person in a relationship to lower the relationship's quality. Though both people can contribute to the lowering of the quality, it only takes one to lower the quality. And although there's a body of all kinds of research that shows that each partner's ES, their emotional suppressiveness, predicts the quality of a relationship, It's been noted in some of the newer studies that most of the prior work fails to take into account the combined effect of ES tendencies, emotional suppression tendencies. In each partner is a combined effect on outcomes. So perhaps both of you in your relationship are both high emotional suppressive people, or both of you are low on the emotional suppression scale. You may have figured out a way to get along, given that each of you had the same preference for sharing or not sharing your feelings. And so what happens when only one of you is the sharer? Have you ever been in that setting where only one of you has the ability to share their emotional well-being, or just their emotions in general? Let's not even put anything else on it. You're not an emotional suppressor. That study from Auckland, New Zealand, that we cited earlier, that research team proposed that it's a weak link in the relationship who can cause a couple's satisfaction as a whole to suffer. So by looking at the interaction of two partners as an influence on relationship quality, you can identify the unique problems that occur when a low emotional suppressive person has a high emotionally suppressed partner. And the weak link in terms of ES then is the dyad member who engages in a high level of suppression, and that it's enough to undermine the relationship quality as a whole. You know, those kind of people, those high suppressors of emotion. And some of that is just breaking down and letting go of, damn, what's there to suppress? You're supposedly with the person you love, yet you can't express your emotions to them. Don't you want to just take yourself and bitch slap yourself in the mirror sometimes and go, damn it, this is the person I love and that I said I'm committed to, that I'm married, that I'm going to be with, that I have kids with, and yet I can't express my emotions to this person? Well, if you can't, who can you give them to? Who's the person who's going to hear you more? So when you're in a relationship, this is something that can cause the person who is the high emotional suppressor, no matter where the other person falls in, it can be that one person that destroys the relationship because they're not expressing themselves to the other person. You know what that other person's eventually going to do? You're going to teach them to withdraw their emotions too. They're not going to share anything with you. So they're going to work that way. And then, what happens to the relationship when you get to that point? So, yeah, and I was looking at something in the chat room there. Do you think it's possible, says Steph, that certain people just don't have a range of emotions? Like they can actually, or what you're saying is maybe that they actually cannot feel things? I think it's possible. I know a long time ago when I was in counseling with my ex-wife, we're talking 25 years ago, that I could express myself perfectly. And the counselor would say, okay, that's all great and good. Now, how do you feel? She asked me about my feelings, my emotions. And I said, I thought I just gave you my feelings and emotions. So, are there people that don't have the ability? They don't have a wide range of emotions? Maybe. But you will also find that most people have their standards of how they express emotionally, how they take in stuff that's presented to them emotionally. We all have our emotional buttons, whether they're high or suppressed. So I think that there's possibly people that don't have the wide range of emotion, but I think we're all emotional beings too. Here's the big question. If you don't have a range of emotion, why did somebody who's highly emotional become attracted to you in the first place? Is it that you expressed those emotions earlier on in different ways? And now that you're comfortable in the relationship after years or whatever it might be, you now feel I'm comfortable here. I don't need to do that anymore. That's a big guy problem, frankly. Men do that a lot. We used to refer to it as the conquering factor in men. I have conquered the woman. I now therefore don't have to stay in as good a shape. I don't have to try so hard because I've already got her. And those are the men that are always ridiculously sidelined when they find out their wife is going to leave them because they're not giving anything to the relationship. And those guys are dumbfounded when they find that. So yeah, I think that it's possible. I think expressing emotion, though, is something we do and we don't do. It's a cognitive thing. Maybe some of us aren't gushers and some of us aren't total stoics when it comes to emotion, but there's a wide range in between, I suspect. So I suspect you're right there to a certain degree. James says, I bury my emotions. Well, a lot of us do. A lot of guys do that. A lot of guys bury emotions. You know what? There are some people that like to deny that there's a difference between the sexes, but there is. We're wired differently. Women tend to express better than men on the emotional level. Men tend to bury their emotions because it's not the manly thing to do. Matt says, I suspect that, Steph, although maybe they feel those emotions, but only for a short time and it doesn't affect their thoughts. It's possible. See you, Audrey. Have a fun day. I missed that when you said it, so you're probably already gone. So, Mike Yehudi says, I can feel things, I just don't always know how to express them. So I bury them. So it's not the feeling of it, it's the expression of it. And who should we be able to? Now I'm talking in a unicorn terms here. The should haves, would haves, could haves. Who should we be able to express our emotions to? It would be the person we're supposedly the closest with. But we suppress those. Why do we suppress them? Maybe the big question is to say, not so much the recognition that we bury those things, because we all bury shit. It's why do we bury it? Are we afraid somebody's going to ridicule us for expressing? Are we going to feel less manly or less womanly if we express that thing? Opposites attract, they say, said Matt Finn. Yeah, there is that. There is that. So if opposites attract, what creates the distraction? The unattraction. Opposites might attract, but how do they maintain when one is emotionally suppressive and the other one isn't? Or there are different degrees of it, and it creates a problem in their relationship. If those opposites attracted, why does not the opposite maintain? Because we enter different things when we get into relationship. James says, I have that flip switch in my head where I can just release horrible violence or normal society happiness. There you go. Yeah, I could be that way too. I'm a fairly even-keeled person, but there are times where I'm like, fuck it, I'm done. I've gone there too. Matt Finn says, the more I learn about problems facing all of humanity's relationships, the more I'm sure that the root cause to too many of our relationship issues is communication. Ain't that the truth? It's all about communication. It's all about talking. It's all about opening up. It's all about, there are times when Rainey and I hit our stuff and we go, well, why didn't we say that before? Sometimes we're just oblivious to it. Or we can get so locked into our own way of doing things that we don't express ourselves emotionally to the other person because we're locked into our own way of doing things. And so let me ask you, if you have trouble relating to your partner, is it because they just aren't enough like you? Or because you've got your own way of doing things And sometimes when you involve another person intimately in your life for the rest of your life, quote unquote, aren't there supposed to be things we do to adapt to each other? If we're assholes going into a relationship, first you got to ask, what did the other person see in my assholishness that wanted to have it permanently? But does that mean then when you get into that you don't have to make strides to adapt to the other person? Well, here I am. I'm an asshole, or I'm a this, or I'm a that. And if you want me, you can take me as I am, and I'm never going to change. So if you want to get married, it's on those terms. Oh, yeah, I love you. I do. And if I change my mind, I'll let you know. I mean, marriage, relationship, good relationship is about adaptation. So, using data from 4 different studies of couples, this team that we were talking about earlier from New Zealand, they examined the relationships of 427 long-term heterosexual couples with average ages ranging from 23 to 37 years old. And the majority of couples were married, and those who were not described their relationship as serious, quote unquote, serious relationship. So each partner completed the following 4-item measure of expressive suppression. And now see how you would have scored on this. Rate yourself from 1 to strongly disagreeing to 7, you strongly agree. I don't agree. 7, I do agree. Number 1, I control my emotions by not expressing them. Is that how you control your emotions? Where would you rate yourself? You strongly agree with that, or you strongly disagree with that? Or the other way around. You strongly disagree, or you strongly agree? I control my emotions by not expressing them. That's how I keep control of myself. I don't express it. 2, when I'm feeling negative emotions, I make sure not to express them. So it kind of goes hand in hand with number 1. So when I'm feeling negative emotions, I just choose not to express them. I make sure I don't. Do you strongly disagree, or do you agree with that? 3, I keep my emotions to myself. Pretty simple, straightforward. Keep my emotions to myself. You disagree or agree with that? 4, when I'm feeling positive emotions, I'm careful not to express them. You agree or disagree with that statement? So the average score per item across these 4 samples was right in the middle of the scale, or just below the 3.5 mark. So participants also completed these brief measure of relationship satisfaction. Our relationship is close to ideal, quote unquote, and they rated their ability to resolve conflict. In other words, when I put my mind to it, I can just about solve any disagreement that comes up between my partner and me, end quote. That sounds an awful lot like a guy, because we think logically. Well, if my woman just thought logically, why, I could solve all our problems. I got it all right here in black and white. You want the problem solved, you come to me. I got it. I got it covered. I know women like that too. I'm not saying that's just a man trait, but some men tend to be that way. I can solve any problem. All she needs to do is shut up and listen to me. Ever hear that? My wife would just listen to what I have to say. So, feelings out. It doesn't need feelings. So I got the way to solve all problems right here, right now. It doesn't involve my feelings at all. It involves black and white and fact finding. So, having rated your own expressive suppression, see how you think you'd score on these quality measures of relationship. How would you, is your relationship close to ideal? When you put your mind to it, can you solve any problem? Now, turning to the findings of this study, the authors calculated that the contributions made by each partner's ES, their emotional suppression, to the two outcome measures of satisfaction. And to test the weak link hypothesis, the authors compared couples in the three categories of both partners, low in ES, both partners high in ES, and the weak link combination. Partners who were different in ES are the other category. Hang on here. I'm fighting trying to suppress a cough. I'm a CS right now, cough suppressant. Hooey, man. Be happy when this is over, runs its course. Looking at the chat room here. See you, Matthew Sainsbury. Nice to have you here today. Let's see. Elderberry says, wish I could relate. Women don't look at crypts. Not sure of your meaning there, brother. Thank you, Matthew. I'll get better. Or I'll die. One of the two. Let's see. Keep control, says Matt Finn. Over what? Here, it keeps scrolling. I'm going to put it up. Keep control over what the source of those emotions are, and keep the effects of them focused at the source. That's a good tack to take. Hey, Lewis, how you doing? Good to see you in here. So, in looking at this, let's go on. Looking at the first relationship satisfaction, couples in which both partners were both low in the ES were the most satisfied people as a couple. They were both low in their emotional suppression. So they didn't hold things in. They expressed to each other. They talked to each other. They didn't hold back their emotions about things. They were the couples that were found to be in the most relationship satisfaction. This finding supports the theory that a relationship fares better when both partners can communicate their feelings openly. However, couples in which one partner was high in emotional suppression and the other low, the weak link pattern showed the lowest relationship satisfaction, regardless of whether it was the actor or the partner whose emotional why am I blanking on the word I've said 10 times? Their ES was high. Their emotional suppression was high. So in the area of conflict resolution, those are two words which are almost primary in any relationship. Conflict resolution, because we have conflict all the time. It could be as simple as, why do you fold the towels that way? Or the old cliche, why do you squeeze the toothpaste from the top instead of the bottom? When everybody knows it's you squeeze it from the bottom, not the top. So conflict resolution. The findings were even more striking. Couples in which either the actor or the partner had high ES scores were least likely to be able to use the communication tools that would allow them to settle their differences in a productive manner. So if you are high in your emotional suppression, you know what happens? You suppress your emotions, and you're more likely not able to use communication tools that would allow you to settle your differences in a productive way. Think about that for a second. Safe to say we're getting Friday's show on Sunday morning, said Matt Finn. I don't even think I had a topic for Friday. This just came up actually this morning. Because I was reading through some stuff and I saw something on suppressing our emotions to each other. I was like, oh. And my wife tends to be a little more matter of fact than I do. I tend to be more emotional than my wife. Go figure. It's the way I am. And not to a detriment, but I see this balance that goes on all the time. Emotional suppression. And generally, emotional suppression has something at its core. It's not that you're just an ass. It's not that you just don't express yourself well. There's always something at the core that prevents us from expressing our emotions. Could be way back stuff. And nobody likes to hear that because we think it's all the psychobabble of the day. We have to go back to our past to find out why we do things the way we do. But it's true. It's what we have to do. You have to go back and find out. If I can't express my emotions very well, maybe you're not even interested in finding out why. Well, if you're interested in finding out why, if it's a detriment to relationship for you, maybe there's a reason for it. And go back and find out why. Why can't I express myself very well? You need to hit some Mullane. Mullane? I need something. So I don't know what Mullane is, though. I'll have to go look it up. My doc put me on some kind of thing. Yeah, my lungs are so full right now that breathing is tough. Breathing normally, let's put it that way. So I think I'm on the downswing, though. It was pretty rough the last couple of days. So, but I get this, I've gotten something like this at least once a year for the last 30 years. And I always think it's some kind of bronchial infection, or I had pneumonia once, so my lungs are more easily blah, 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 blah. You get it. Sean Bowden says, I suppress myself. I hide the real me from everyone. Do you ever feel, Sean, like you hide the real you from you? Sometimes. That's a good question to ask. Have you ever asked yourself, Sean, again, you don't have to answer this. I'm just going with what you said in the chat room. Have you ever asked yourself why you do that? And would the answer to that why question be something that you could find would be the reason there's a tough time? I've got some raw honey, Lewis. I'm gonna use some of that in my throat when we're done here. So, yeah. James says, I'm always open and honest with my wife. Her opinion on me is the only one that matters. There you go. Yeah, I don't care what other people think of me, but I do care about what my wife thinks about me. And sometimes my wife is harsh, I can tell you. So sometimes harshness comes out of being less emotionally expressive and more, I'm going to stick to the facts. I'll tell you what I think the facts are. So that's the Taurus in her. So as the authors of this study suggested, high emotional suppression interrupts a whole host of social dynamics. It interrupts perceived support, closeness, authenticity, gratitude. These are all things that get stifled by emotional suppression. Your authenticity is stifled. It stifles closeness with another person. Gratitude. At times, couples might become involved in situations that require balancing personal needs with appropriate relationship sacrifices. So maybe your need is, I need to be quiet about my emotions. But maybe those are some of the things that need to be sacrificed in a relationship. Remember I said you work to adapt to the other person. Maybe I got to give up my selfishness. And sorry, I don't mean to be poking anybody with that one, but is it just selfish when we say this is the way I am and I'm not going to change? Might be. So thinking back to some of those economic models of relationships, this suggested high emotional suppression can get in the way of establishing a satisfactory equilibrium in relationship. If you're low in ES, you don't have a problem delving into a possible imbalance. It can be frustrating, though, when your partner clams up. However, you have to look at the cognitive reappraisal. The cognitive reappraisal may reduce the damaging effect of a partner's low emotional suppression. And these strategies can include trying to tell yourself to stay calm, looking at the situation in a more positive light, or just change what you're thinking about. So staying calm may also help your partner find a way to start talking about difficult subjects without fear of making you angry. And to sum it up, you could say whether it's you or your partner who's the weak link, recognizing the imbalance in your emotional expressiveness can be the first step to finding greater understanding and fulfillment in a relationship. Understanding the differences, understanding what it takes to find balance. Finding balance doesn't come when we say, I am this way and I will never change. That's not finding balance. That's maintaining self as the most important factor. When you're with somebody and you create a life with somebody, there is by needs and necessity the things that you do to adapt to the other person. So there you go. Our signs might have a lot to do with our feelings, brother. Maybe so. Do you think somebody that's a really emotional sign can be somebody who can adapt by creating more logic in their lives, in their approaches? So it's incredibly fulfilling to have a someone. I think that's what it was, a someone, James. Sean says, yes, I do think I had for myself. And maybe that's something that's worth rooting out a bit. Sean, or anybody. I think that's something that's worth looking into. There were things I hid about myself. Believe it or not, I used to be a very emotionally suppressed person, but I kept things under for certain reasons. And it wasn't until it's about 30 years ago, I started hitting on that stuff. Half of my life ago, when I started realizing that I do that. So, James said, my wife is through her opinions and her point of view expressed to me things that change my phone of view on different things. I'm not sure. I think view of something on different things. Sorry, got a little lost in the translation there. I think I know what you meant, though. So there you go, folks, on that. I thought that would be good to talk about today. Really good thing to hit up. And do you know that there are 6 small ways that you can show your partner that you really care about them, that you care about the relationship? And 6 little changes that can have everything to do with big effects on your relationship. Here's where I need you all to ear up. Hear this one out. You and your partner might seem to get along pretty well most of the time. You argue relatively infrequently, and only then over trivial matters. And having settled onto a fairly consistent pattern in your day-to-day existence, you rarely question whether things could be better. However, such a smooth-running relationship can actually have its downsides. It's been a long time since you've questioned whether you could be nicer to your partner, and in turn, your partner seems to show little inclination to deviate from the steady path established long ago between you. Maybe you just say it just works for us. Is there growth there? Surprisingly, to many of us, there might be hidden costs to such stability as what I just described. Neither of you push each other very far, nor do you look for ways to expand on your feelings toward each other. Instead, as much as possible, you stay away from controversial areas that you know could spark the discord, so you dearly wish to prevent it. And as much as you hate to admit it, it's possible that one or both of you are either bored or have become boring in a relationship. What do you think of that? You're bored or becoming boring. Thank you, Matt Finn. So, according to the latest relationship research by the University of North Carolina's Brian Dunn in 2020, he and his colleagues, when partners are motivated by avoidance to make things worse or stir the pot, or the wish to minimize conflict, their relationship can lose vitality. You know, we're on the even keel. I don't want to stir the pot. You know, hey, we're okay. We're doing all right. And so, relationship loses vitality when we do that. Trust me. If you haven't experienced that, it does. When there's no challenge to overcome or no way to strive to be better, vitality wanes. And so couples instead benefit from the approach type of motivation in which they seek out, desire, and respond to positive stimuli. So by trying to actively to create these new opportunities for positive relationship events, couples should have a much better chance of actually enjoying each other rather than just gliding in neutral. Let me ask you, there's a big telling question. You and your relationship partner, you're in pretty good shape. You don't have a lot of problems. Are you happy? Are you happy together? Do you enjoy being with each other? So the underlying framework of all these studies that were put out there is known as the upward reactivity hypothesis. Okay? It's not really, broken down into initials, the URH, but it's the upward reactivity hypothesis. So according to this view, people who are high in approach motivation are going to engage in positive behaviors toward their partners. This results in a higher number of sweet moments, if you will, that in turn can snowball into even greater relationship satisfaction. So the snowball effect should involve behaviors by partner A, which result in the perception by partner B that partner A really cares. And the mutual, it's not just saying you care. Oh, didn't I tell you that on the day we were married that I cared? Have I changed my mind? You haven't heard from me. So the mutual good feelings build on themselves over the course of these positive interactions. Everybody needs, not reassurance. What's the word I'm looking for? Building up. They need us to do things. Affirmation. And when there is no affirmation, it's like, take it down to a work level. Does my boss need to tell me thank you for doing my work? No. I know I do a good job. But it's nice to hear that, isn't it? I think on a relationship level, it's even more intrinsic that we do that stuff. So when you go out of your way to be nice to your partner, then you're doing more than just being nice. You're also communicating to your partner that you have his or her well-being in mind, which is a strong signal that you care about them. So what's more, both of you are going to experience positive emotional benefits. Both individuals involved in these interactions tend to experience enhanced affective and relational outcomes regardless of which role they enact. So the tested and the upward reactivity hypothesis in the context of both laboratory and everyday life have shown this to be so. So the key to findings from all of these studies that I've been talking about today support the upward reactivity hypothesis by showing that partners higher in approach motivation experience so much more positive emotions associated with the positive relational events. And these effects were noticed by their partners, who in turn showed crossover events or effects of more positive emotional responses as well. You know? You can oversimplify it. You can find examples to use, what would partner A do if partner B showed that they cared more? Could open up a whole new thing. So seeking the sweet moments with your partner, taking the time to adapt to your partner and seeking the sweet moments of life together can provide the basis for further enhancing not only your own, but your partner's enjoyment of all these events. And positive social moments are upwardly enhanced for people higher in approach motivation, but also demonstrate that their partners observe this upward reactivity and may reap rewards toward themselves. And so the evidence from the studies support the importance of looking at your relationship in terms of enhancing the positive rather than simply avoiding the negative. So when we say, when we're talking about emotional suppressiveness, take it that step further and say we're not always looking at avoiding the negative. We're looking at enhancing the positive, building it, growing it, making it better. And so with this orientation, now you can increase the likelihood of your actions having positive impact on your partner's satisfaction, even while boosting your own emotional rewards. So now I said that there were 6 of these. They're going to sound awfully simplistic to you, but these 6 behaviors seem to have particularly beneficial effects, and they can seem really small to you indeed, but listen to this. Here they are. You ready? Here's the 6 different things. Number one, take time to listen to the concerns of your partner. Does that seem like a radical concept to any of us? Take time to listen to the concerns of your partner, even if you initially don't agree with them. Take time to listen. Let your partner know that you're open to hearing something that's bothering them, even if it's something that may seem almost too trivial for you to mention. Oh, Jesus, you're what? Maybe you just need to make sure you're straightening the magazines and the coffee table instead of leaving them shuffled in a messy little heap. It could be something as simple as that. So take time to listen to the concerns of your partner. Hang on here a second. If there wasn't the visual, you wouldn't know I was coughing my lungs up. So, but the visual belies that, doesn't it? So, number one, take time to listen to the concerns of your partner. Seems easy, doesn't it? Just listen. Don't argue. Don't fight their ideas. Don't argue about what they have to say. Just listen to it. Hear them out. Number two, share an activity with your partner that you're not particularly crazy about. Reminds me of any of you listen to Tenacious D? Jack Black. there's a song that he starts off. He says, "This one's for the ladies, but guys, you listen too." And it's kind of a foul language song, but it's funny as hell. And he's talking about sex and lovemaking and so on in your F word type terms. And he's talking about I'm trying to make a point out of something that's kind of really off color comedy, and make a salient point out of it, because he says in there something about they're talking about sex in the song. Yeah, that's the song, Scott Allen. You got it nose head on. Effort Gently, it's called. But he says, he's asking the question, what's your favorite position? I'm not going to do it. No, it's not my favorite, but I'll do it for you. That's part of the song. What's your favorite dish? I'm not going to cook it, but I'll order it from Zanzibar, he says. And so, yeah, that's it. Because sometimes it's not the right thing to do. That's right. So using that comic element there, share an activity with your partner that you're not really crazy about. It's not my favorite position, but I'll do it for you because you like it. That kind of thing, to use a comic edge to it. Perhaps you're not that much into taking long walks on the beach or dancing in the rain or drinking pina coladas. But your partner makes a practice of doing these things, and they like to do them. So agree to join in, even if it's just for 2 or 3 times. You might even discover that you actually enjoy both the exercise and your partner's company. So, take time to listen to the concerns of your partner. 2, share an activity with your partner that might not be your favorite thing to do. Let them know that you care enough about them to do what they like. I do that with my wife sometimes. So, number 3, let your partner know when something good happens to you. You ever have good things that happen and you don't share them? Oh, by the way, hey, what's this thing? Oh, I forgot to tell you about that. That happens in our relationship sometimes. It's not usually often, because Rainey and I are kind of spill our guts to each other type of people anyway. I've always said if I won the lottery, I wouldn't tell my wife right away. I'd, I don't know, get that money in and surprise her with, tickets to some wild exotic place around the world, take a trip, and I don't know, you come up with all these crazy ideas. So now here's what I do. Nah, I couldn't do it though. I can't hold that back. I'd tell her right away. It's like, I'll find things like, I found the perfect Christmas present for my wife. This will be perfect 6 months from now at Christmas time. I buy it and I bring it home, and it's sitting in my office under my desk in a bag, in a box. My wife comes in, you go, you aren't going to believe what I got you today. It's supposed to be for Christmas, so it's the way we both are. She does that stuff for me all the time. So let your partner know when something good happens to you. You know why you do that? Capitalization events, you could call them, prove to have some really positive effect on both participants and their partners in a relationship. Although it might seem like bragging, this behavior of sharing your own good news shows your partner that you place value in your partner's opinions of you. I place a lot of stock in my wife's opinion of me. Doesn't take much for my wife to, inflame my insecurities, because I put a lot of stock in her opinion, more so than I do most other people's. But share your good things with your partner. Number 4, spend a few minutes tending to the seemingly little things that could help your partner. Now, these are things like I always used to until Rainey stopped drinking coffee. I would get her a cup of coffee every morning. I'd make her coffee. When she was drinking decaf, I would be done brewing my coffee. Then I'd brew her coffee next, the decaf. Put a little sign on it, Rainey's Decaf. And that I'd set on top of the coffee maker. So she had her coffee when she got up. I never saw the point of decaffeinated coffee. That's like non-alcoholic beer. It's like, why drink it? But little things like that. Filling a water bottle. Somebody who's in a rush to get out the door. We've got those great jobs where we both kind of work on our own. I'm here, so we're not rushing. When we rush to get places because we have an appointment somewhere. Rainey doesn't do massage out of the home, so she's got to go 2 or 3 days a week. She'll go out to the hotel in Stillwater where she's got her massage therapy set up, and she'll have 1 or 2 massages a day, 2 or 3 times a week, and she'll go out and do those. And it's generally on the weekends, as I mentioned, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And on rare occasions, she'll have one at the beginning of the week. So trying to help her get out the door. Hey, I filled the gas tank for you so you don't have to do it. It seems stupid and silly, but it's a nice thing to do. It's the little things we do. So, number 5, help your partner achieve his or her goals. So you got to engage in behavior that's going to bring your partner closer to you, not push them farther away from their own goals. If you know your partner's trying to lose weight rather than continue to serve high-calorie meals, take time to buy and prepare healthy food. My wife's gluten-free. I still have not snapped into the gluten-free thing after 7 years she's been doing this. She's pretty into it, but I still miss things every now and then. Oh, I put that thing in it. I didn't check to see if those ingredients were all gluten-free. So I spent an hour and a half prepping something and find out you can't eat it because I missed the one can of tomatoes that had this in it instead of that can of tomatoes, kind of thing. That's why I like taking tomatoes from the garden and cutting them up rather than using canned. So help your partner achieve their goals. 6, the last of these 6 things, do things for your partner that only you can do. There can be times when your expertise is needed to solve a problem of your partner's experience, whether it's sewing on a button or on a coat or fixing a glitch on an email program. So there's only things that you can do for your partner. Rainey does these neat books, these journals and stuff. She's a very creative person, a very artistic person. But she needed me to help her figure out how to paint these things when she first started them. And she does them even now. And I'll still go in and correct some things for her. And so I do things for her that only I can offer to help her get ahead at what she's doing. So it's important to remember that part of what contributes to the beneficial effects of these small ways of bringing positivity to your relationship is our ability to convey positive sentiments while in the process, not emotionally suppressing ourselves. And we got to help out grudgingly or with less of an enthusiastic mindset could negate everything that our best efforts are trying to show. You don't begrudge it. You don't do it begrudgingly. You do it happy. So the key fact, it's like, if my wife says, I want to go, I'm trying to think of an example. And it's not coming to mind, but let's use a banal example. Your wife wants to go see a movie and it's a chick flick and you do not want to go see it, dude. It's not high on your list. Oh, can we go see this? We haven't been out for a couple of weeks. I'd like to go see this movie. And if you say, yeah, I'll go to that movie with you, how do you think she'll respond? Yeah, let's go see your movie. Hey, let's roll. Let's get some popcorn, too. And if you attend the movie with her with that attitude, or shopping versus, well, shit. Okay. I hate Sarah McLachlan songs, or I hate Amy Schumer. I don't know why you like these movies. And you sit through the whole movie going, oh, Jesus, why are we even here? I can't believe that's going grudgingly. You think she's going to enjoy herself if you do that? Vice versa, women. If your men want to go see a Vin Diesel movie or Star Trek or Star Wars or something that you're not into, do it. Don't do it begrudgingly. I'm giving this to you. We used to call that making deposits in the love bank. Yeah, I'm gonna even put that into as a pound. Deposit in the love bank. Boom. Make your deposits in the love bank. And I'm talking just sexual. Pound, chicka, pound, pound. I'm putting in a deposit. It's not that. You do things to keep it in that financial kind of category that we're using as an example in our relationship. Yeah, Matt Finn said my love bank is all different. It's a little different. Yeah, you put deposits in the love bank. I was using the movie as a banal example. But don't we do things for the partners that we love that put deposits in the love bank? Because you know what? We can take out those deposits really quickly if we're not careful. You ever notice how fast you can overdraft your love bank account by the things you do? Yeah, I hear you, Steph. My love bank is overdrawn, says Dave Potter. Hey, Dave. I don't know when you snuck in. Oh, I see. Morning, Scotty, you said. So, to sum it up, finding joy in the smallest of our actions, whether those you initiate or those you receive, can play an important role in enhancing your relationship's quality and allows each of you to achieve greater fulfillment in your daily lives. And at the same time, as we were talking about at the beginning of all this, the emotional suppression factor. If you're a high emotional suppressor, it might clash with your partner who might be a very low on the suppression scale. Don't forget to compliment daily and frequently. That's right, Lewis. That's all about building up your partner. That's a part of those 6 steps we just talked about. Build your partner up. So, Steph gets it, says Matt Finn. Yeah, I got it too, Matt Finn. I knew exactly what you were talking about. In more ways than one. Boom, chicka, bow, bow. All right. So that's really all I wanted to talk about today. Off the top. It just occurred to me because, Dave Potter, he's in the room. Dave Potter sees my wife and I interact. You know how we interact. And there's times where I just think about that. I think, what are the things we could be doing to show each other that we appreciate each other more? That's where this all comes from. So, like I say, this show, it's all about the things I think about. It's all about the things I strive to do. So that's what you're going to get here. So Sean says, I stepped out for a smoke and watched an eagle bring something to the nest for the babies. It's because by nature, that's what eagles do for their babies. Very cool, Sean. All right, guys. What time is it? It's 10:40. So we've been going for an hour and 40 minutes. You got to see Raini for about 2 minutes at the beginning today. She had to run out right at 9 o'clock, and she stuck around. I asked her, stick around for 2 minutes so she could say hi. And you knew that she still actually exists. Yeah, rum that cough. Yeah, I do. I need to do something, Dave. Rum. I don't think I have any rum here. I got scotch, but I don't have any rum. You might have to come out with some rum, Dave. Just saying. Saying, brother. So I'm on day 3 of this or day 4? I think this is day 3 to 4. Right in that range. So hopefully it'll start burning itself out pretty quickly. So I feel a little better today. I'm just not tip top. Yeah, scotch will do. That's what I figured. Rum would do too. I just haven't had rum. It's something I'm missing. I haven't had rum here for a long time. And I need some rum in my life. I will tell my wife hello. Matt Finn says my wife likes to hear I love her. And I like to be shown she loves me. We got that worked out. I'm the same way. I'm a guy, I'm a guy. We're supposed to be, manly. I like to be shown by my wife that she loves me. In the little things and the big things. So, and I like to give the same thing back. And where we get caught is when we say, I do more showing than you do. I'm the giver, you're the receiver. So, I do need more pirates in my life. It's been a long time since I've hung with the pirates. And Captain Dave is one of them. I show that love, says Steph. Outstanding. You're an outstanding woman, Steph. All right, guys. You know what? Have a great rest of your day. Have a good Sunday. And we'll be back tomorrow night at standard time, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. out on the West Coast. And 2 in the afternoon, I think, in Australia. Some parts of Australia. In the future. So, thanks, everybody, for being here. Good to have you here. Hope you had a good time. You are welcome, Scott Allen. I give the kiddos your love, Dave. And they've been surprisingly quiet since the one outburst. So, love to you all, guys. And you know what? I will see you tomorrow. And you guys have a good day. All right? So, live long and prosper.